He probably had the coolest name in the history of baseball, and he was a key member of the 1927 Yankees, arguably the greatest baseball team of all time. This is the story of Urban Shocker, one of the last legal spitball pitchers. Urbain Jacques Shockour was born on September 22, 1890, in Cleveland, Ohio. His siblings retained the original surname, but he later westernized his name to Urban James Shocker, as, allegedly, newspapers regularly misspelled his name. He began his career as a catcher in Windsor of the Border League. In 1913, he broke the middle finger of his right hand. It did not heal properly, leaving the finger hooked in the last joint. Soon, this accident would alter Shocker's career. When he switched to pitching, this improved his control, allowing him to throw a good breaking ball and a splitter. While still a catcher, Shocker volunteered to pitch when his team ran out of arms. By the end of the 1913 minor league season, Shocker had become a pitcher. In 1914, he moved to the Ottawa Senators of the Canadian League. Under the tutelage of Frank Shaughnessy, he learned how to pitch the spitball. He spent 4 years in the minors, posting a cumulative win-loss record of 60 wins and 28 losses. He played only for Canadian teams in the minors. In 1913, he played for Windsor, from 1914 to 1915 for Ottawa, and in 1916 for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Oddly enough, baseball's minor league teams in Canada shared names with hockey teams. In 1915, he was drafted by the New York Yankees in the Rule 5 draft, but was not promoted to the majors until the following season. He appeared in 12 games for the Yankees, where he had a 4.3 record, a 2.62 ERA, and 43 strikeouts in 12 games. At the end of this brief stint, the Yankees returned him to the minors, where he had a 15-3 record for the Toronto Maple Leafs. He had a 1.31 ERA and 54 consecutive scoreless innings, which remain records in the International League. The following year, he returned to the majors and had an 8.5 record, a 2.61 ERA, and 68 strikeouts. This mediocre performance and the arrival of a new manager made him expendable, and the Yankees traded him to the St. Louis Browns after the season. Shocker, along with 4 other players, plus $15,000, was traded for legend Eddie Plank and infielder Del Pratt. Plank decided to retire instead of joining the Yankees, but the trade still pushed through. In 1918, he had a 6.5 record and a 1.81 ERA for the Browns before serving in World War I as part of the draft. Shocker had his first full season in 1919, winning 13 games. The following year, he had the first of 4 consecutive 20-win seasons. He had a 6.6 WAR to go with 20 wins and 10 losses. Shocker had a 2.71 ERA and led the league in saves with 5. After the 1920 season, partly as a result of the death of Ray Chapman during the season, baseball banned the spitball. Shocker, however, was among the few allowed to continue using the pitch. In 1921, he arguably had his best season. He had a career-high 8.0 WAR and a league-leading 27 wins. He had 132 strikeouts to go with a 3.55 ERA and 4 saves. Shocker continued to dominate in 1922 with a 7.1 WAR, 24 wins, and a 2.97 ERA. He also led the league in strikeouts with 149. In 1923, he led the league with a 6.3 WAR, as he won 20 games in a season for the last time, going 2012. That season, he also had the highest placing in the MVP, voting at number 14. From 1920 to 1924, the first 5 years of the live ball era, Shocker was the winningest pitcher in the game. He won 107 games despite pitching for the weak lineups of the St. Louis Browns. In 1925, the New York Yankees probably realized that they had made a mistake in trading him and brought him back. Manager Miller Huggins took over as Yankees manager in 1918, and one of his first acts was trading Shocker. He later admitted that it was a mistake, stating that someone had told him Shocker was a troublemaker, which he later learned was not true. The Browns returned him to New York in exchange for pitchers Joe Bush and Milt Gaston. Shocker responded by outperforming Bush and Gaston in 1925. Bush and Gaston had a combined 3.9 WAR for the Browns, while Shocker had a 5.7 WAR and an even 12-12 record. He also led the league in fielding independent percentage, or FIP, with 3.38. Not everything was great with Shocker, however. By 1926, he was suffering from a heart illness and could usually only sleep standing or sitting down. This resulted in Shocker's physical skills deteriorating. He had to compensate with his intelligence to get batters out. Still, his illness rarely showed, and Shocker delivered on the field during the regular season. From 1925 to 1927 in New York, Shocker had a cumulative record of 49 wins and 29 losses with a 3.32 ERA and 168 strikeouts. The Yankees won the 1926 American League pennant and faced the St. Louis Cardinals in the World Series. Shocker had the second-best pitching record on the team and was the starter in Game 2. He faced 39-year-old Grover Alexander, and fans expected him to give New York a 2-0 series lead. However, he gave up 10 hits and 5 runs in 7 innings. With New York protecting a 3-2 series lead, Shocker pitched in relief in Game 6. He gave up 3 hits and 2 unearned runs in less than an inning. The Yankees lost in both games that he pitched in. The series ended with a Yankees loss as Ruth was caught stealing in the final out of Game 7. In 1927, he was part of arguably the greatest baseball team in history. The 1927 Yankees were known as Murderers Row and were led by Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig. The team was in first place from day one. Despite his illness, Shocker performed well and won 18 games. He was a key member of the rotation and finished third in wins on the team behind Waite Hoyt and Herb Pennock. With the Yankees seemingly unbeatable and the pennant inevitable, it seemed that Shocker would get the opportunity to redeem himself in the World Series. Unfortunately, this was not to be. By the early fall of 1927, he was too sick to pitch and left the rotation. Officially, Shocker was a champion, but he did not participate in the Yankees' sweep of the Pirates in the World Series. He returned to the Yankees in 1928, but pitched in only 2 innings before New York released him. By September of that season, Shocker had died from heart failure and pneumonia. Shocker had a 59.0 WAR and won 187 games while losing 117. He had a 3.17 ERA with 983 strikeouts. He regularly finished in the top 10 in major pitching statistics. He finished in the top 10 in WAR for pitchers 7 times, in ERA 8 times, in wins 7 times, in WHIP 9 times, in saves 5 times, and in shutouts 7 times. Shocker was on the Hall of Fame ballot 5 times. Despite his stellar career, his best year was 1958, when he got 1.5% of the votes. Shocker died on September 9, 1928. He was 37. Among the pallbearers were Hall of Fame Yankees teammates Hoyt, Pennock, and Gehrig. The Yankees won the 1928 World Series and gave Shocker's widow a share in the prize. Thank you for watching. Can you think of a cooler name in baseball? Do you think MLB should revisit Shocker's Hall of Fame's candidacy? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Please consider liking and subscribing. It helps a lot.